Hey everyone! Ready to dive deep into the world of Home Alone 2? Lost in New York? Released on November 20th, 1992. This film has sparked endless discussions, and today, we're uncovering every thrilling detail. If you enjoy this deep dive, don't forget to hit that like button. It really helps us grow. And for more incredible movie explorations and hidden gems, subscribe to the channel. Now, let's unravel the magic behind this cinematic masterpiece. Lightning never strikes twice, unless you're Kevin McAllister. Just a year after outsmarting two would-be burglars in the suburbs of Chicago, Kevin finds himself once again lost and alone. This time in the most electrifying city in the world. New York, draped in Christmas lights and humming with the buzz of the holidays, becomes the new stage for Kevin's wild adventure. But what makes this sequel so much more than just a retread of the original is the way it expands the stakes, deepens the emotional beats, and immerses us in a city that feels as much a character as any human in the story. The movie opens with the same delightful chaos that characterized the first film, the McAllister household in full-blown holiday mayhem. Everyone's packing, voices are raised, tempers are short, and amid all the noise, Kevin is, once again, the overlooked middle child. It's an echo of what we've seen before, but this time, there's a twist. The family isn't staying home for the holidays, they're heading to Florida. A place Kevin believes has no Christmas trees, no snow, and, worst of all, no magic. His frustration with his family boils over when his cousin embarrasses him during a Christmas choir performance. And just like that, the stage is set for history to repeat itself. At the airport, one wrong turn is all it takes. Kevin, distracted by a camcorder and rushing to catch up, follows a stranger who looks like his dad straight onto the wrong plane. And with one smooth transition, we're transported from the sunny skies of Miami to the snowy, majestic skyline of New York City. Kevin lands in a place of grandeur and danger, opportunity and trouble. He's got his dad's credit card, his own street smarts, and a twinkle in his eye that says he's ready for whatever the city throws his way. The Plaza Hotel becomes Kevin's home base, and it's impossible not to be charmed by the scenes of him navigating the high-end lobby with absolute confidence. From checking in with a fake voice on the phone to tricking the staff with a VHS tape, Kevin is once again the master of his fate, the kid who's always one step ahead. The hotel staff, including a hilariously suspicious concierge played by Tim Curry, adds just the right amount of tension. But it's also a playground for Kevin, who orders room service like a king, dives into a giant bed with sweets by his side, and explores the city on his own terms. But New York isn't just full of bright lights and endless possibilities. It's also home to two faces Kevin hoped he'd never see again. Harry and Marv, having escaped prison, have found their way to the city and cooked up a new plan: to rob Duncan's toy chest, the largest toy store in town, on Christmas Eve. For them, it's the perfect score. For Kevin, it's a line they can't cross. He discovers their plan almost by accident, but once he does, there's no turning back. His mission becomes clear: protect the store, stop the bandits, and save Christmas. And yet, between the mischief and mayhem, the film's heart beats quietly but powerfully through the character of the pigeon lady. Covered in feathers and shadows, she first appears as a figure of fear, but Kevin quickly discovers a kindred spirit beneath the layers. Their scenes together are some of the most emotionally grounded in the film. On a rooftop in Central Park, surrounded by the sound of the city and the glow of Christmas lights, they talk about trust, loss, and healing. Kevin's words, about not letting fear of being hurt stop you from caring, land with a resonance far deeper than expected in a movie built on slapstick and comedy. It's in these quiet conversations that the film reveals its deeper soul. The showdown with Harry and Marv is a return to classic form, but now amplified by the eerie, unfinished setting of a renovated brownstone. Every trap Kevin sets feels more chaotic, more dangerous, more outrageous than the last. From electrifying sinks to paint cans on ropes, swinging tools to exploding toilets, it's a ballet of destruction choreographed with cartoon logic and perfect timing. Harry and Marv, ever the gluttons for punishment, fall for each and every trap, screaming and stumbling through Kevin's war zone with a mix of rage and disbelief. The physical comedy is sharper, bolder, and surprisingly more intense, yet still rooted in the same kid power fantasy that made the original so iconic. What truly elevates the film, though, is the full-circle reunion beneath the enormous Rockefeller Christmas tree. Kevin's mother, played with warmth and determination by Catherine O'Hara, has once again moved heaven and earth to find her son. Their reunion, silent at first, is held in a shared glance, a hug that speaks louder than any words. It's the culmination of everything Kevin has experienced, not just the independence and mischief, but the yearning to feel safe, seen, and loved. In one final act of selflessness, Kevin ensures the money from Duncan's toy chest goes to children's hospitals, a gesture that defines who he's become. He may be small, but he's a giant where it counts. And as the camera pulls away from the decorated streets, the laughter of reunited family echoing through the air, the spirit of the holidays wraps around the story like a warm blanket. Home Alone 2, Lost in New York isn't just a sequel. It's a triumph of tone, humor, and heart. It dares to go bigger without losing what made the original special. It expands the playground without forgetting the emotional stakes. It invites us to laugh at the absurd, cry at the tender, and remember that Christmas is about more than gifts and decorations. It's about forgiveness, courage, and the connections we make, even in the most unexpected places. From booby traps to birdseed, from ice-covered steps to heartwarming rooftop chats, every frame of this film is a blend of comedy and compassion. It's a reminder that no matter how far you go or how lost you feel, there's always a way back home, and sometimes, you find it in the most unlikely corners of the world. When Home Alone 2, Lost in New York premiered on November 20th, 1992, theaters were packed with anticipation. After the monumental success of the first film in 1990, which became an instant holiday classic and a box office juggernaut, expectations were sky high. Could lightning strike twice? Could the magic of Kevin McAllister, an 8-year-old boy left to his own devices during Christmas, hold up in a brand new adventure? What unfolded was not just a sequel, but a cinematic event that took the spirit of the original and soared with it, adding new layers, bigger set pieces, and deeper emotional resonance, all wrapped in the glittering backdrop of New York City during the most wonderful time of the year. Right from the opening scene, there's a familiar rhythm. The McAllister household is once again a portrait of holiday chaos, shouting voices, misplaced passports, bickering siblings, and a harried pair of parents who can't quite keep track of their energetic, mischievous son. Kevin, played once more by Macaulay Culkin in a performance that glows with effortless charm, remains the heart of the franchise. He's smarter, a little more confident, and still utterly relatable. The film plays with the audience's knowledge, winking at what came before while setting up a new journey with even higher stakes. This time, Kevin doesn't just get left behind. He ends up in an entirely different state. Through a mix-up at the airport, Kevin follows the wrong man onto the wrong plane and lands in New York City while the rest of his family heads to Florida. It's a setup that somehow feels both outrageous and completely believable in the context of the McAllisters' frenzied family dynamic. What makes this story soar, however, isn't just the premise, it's the execution. The city becomes a character in itself. With its towering skyscrapers, bustling streets, and iconic landmarks dressed in holiday splendor, New York transforms into the ultimate playground for a clever kid with a stolen credit card and a knack for turning chaos into opportunity. What makes Home Alone 2 extraordinary is how it elevates everything the first film did so well. The slapstick comedy is bigger, the emotional moments hit harder, and the stakes feel more urgent. Kevin isn't simply defending his house anymore. He's navigating an unfamiliar, fast-paced city. He books a suite at the lavish Plaza Hotel, where his scenes with hotel staff, particularly Tim Curry as the suspicious concierge, are pure gold. The interactions are deliciously theatrical, a blend of innocent mischief and adult paranoia. Kevin ordering room service, lounging in a robe, and watching gangster flicks on the hotel TV remains one of the film's most iconic montages, capturing that perfect childhood fantasy of independence and indulgence. But beneath the comedy and adventure lies a story brimming with heart. Kevin's journey isn't just about eluding his family, it's about rediscovering what truly matters. His encounters throughout the city, especially his unexpected friendship with the pigeon lady in Central Park, form the emotional spine of the film. She is a mysterious, quiet figure who at first frightens Kevin but eventually becomes a source of comfort and wisdom. Their scenes together add a layer of tenderness that balances out the hijinks, reminding us that loneliness doesn't discriminate, and kindness can bloom in the most unexpected places. Of course, no Home Alone story would be complete without the return of Harry and Marv, the bumbling burglars who once fell prey to Kevin's homemade traps. This time, they've rebranded themselves as the Sticky Bandits and are out for revenge. Their plan to rob Duncan's toy chest, a magical, larger-than-life toy store that donates all its profits to children's charities, adds a new moral dimension to their villainy. Kevin doesn't just defend himself. He stands up for something bigger than himself, turning his cleverness into heroism. The film's centerpiece is a glorious, cartoonish battle in a brownstone under renovation. A trap-laden war zone that sees Harry and Marv endure an even more outrageous series of booby traps than before. From bricks launched off rooftops to electrified sinks and paint cans swinging with wild abandon, the sequence is a masterclass in comedic timing and physical gags. What could have been repetitive feels fresh thanks to the film's sheer inventiveness and the performances of Joe Pesci and Daniel Stern, who embrace every tumble and scream with unflinching commitment. But even amid all the chaos, Home Alone 2 finds moments of stillness that resonate. One of the most poignant scenes takes place at the foot of the Rockefeller Center Christmas tree, where Kevin, alone once again, wishes for the thing he doesn't quite know how to say out loud: family. That scene, bathed in lights and backed by John Williams' hauntingly beautiful score, encapsulates the film's beating heart. It's not about the traps or the pranks. It's about a child seeking connection in a world that often overlooks him. Why did Home Alone 2 become a cultural phenomenon? It didn't just ride the wave of the first film's success, it built upon it. It offered audiences more than just a laugh. It delivered a fully fleshed-out adventure filled with wonder, nostalgia, and genuine emotion. The idea of a child surviving alone in a giant city, outwitting adults, and ultimately finding his way home again speaks to something universal. It's the dream of independence wrapped in the safety net of holiday spirit. It reminds us of the magic of Christmas not through gifts, but through gestures of kindness, acts of courage, and the warmth of being reunited with those we love. The performances are another key to the film's lasting charm. Macaulay Culkin's Kevin is sharp, witty, and deeply human, a far cry from the one-dimensional kid protagonists often seen in sequels. Catherine O'Hara's portrayal of Kevin's mother once again captures the desperation of a parent doing everything to be with her child, her performance culminating in yet another heart-melting reunion. Tim Curry, as the smarmy hotel manager, steals scenes with his over-the-top expressions and delicious line deliveries. And Rob Schneider's bellhop adds just the right amount of quirky humor to round out the cast. Visually, the film is a feast. Director Chris Columbus and cinematographer Julio Macat capture New York through a magical lens. Whether it's the snowy elegance of Central Park, the glowing windows of toy shops, or the grandeur of the Plaza Hotel, every frame feels drenched in Christmas spirit, made even more memorable by John Williams' soaring score, which masterfully blends whimsy, mystery, and heartache. Few composers can make sleigh bells sound so simultaneously hopeful and melancholic, and his music here, as always, is a key storytelling tool. There's also a metatextual brilliance to how the film uses familiar beats while reinventing them. It doesn't shy away from echoing the original, but it does so with purpose. The repeating of certain gags, the gangster film quotes, the shaving mishaps, the early warnings from adults, serves to build a mythos around Kevin's adventures. He becomes a legend in his own right, a kid who has lived 2 lifetimes' worth of experiences in just a couple of years, learning lessons and growing in quiet ways that only become clear when you revisit the film as an adult. And that's the real beauty of Home Alone 2. As children, we were enamored by the comedy, the independence, the fantasy of running wild in a city with no rules. But as adults, we begin to see the deeper layers, the sadness behind Kevin's smile, the longing in the pigeon lady's voice, the fragility of family bonds that can fray and mend within the span of a few snow-covered days. The film offers joy to the young and reflection to the grown, bridging generations through shared laughter and timeless storytelling. It's no wonder, then, that every year during the holidays, this film finds its way back into our homes. Whether it's being watched for the 100th time or introduced to a new generation of kids, Home Alone 2 continues to shine. Its legacy isn't just built on slapstick gags or Christmas cheer. It's built on emotion, imagination, and the idea that even when the world feels too big and overwhelming, a child with a good heart can change it, one small act at a time. In the end, Home Alone 2, Lost in New York doesn't just rehash a winning formula, it refines it. It's a film that dares to go bigger while staying intimate. A story that understands that the true meaning of the holidays isn't about gifts or getaways. It's about being found when you feel most lost. And as Kevin looks up at the tree, arms wrapped around his mother, laughter echoing in the distance and snow beginning to fall, we're reminded that the best holiday stories are the ones that bring us home, even if we have to get a little lost along the way. From the moment the film begins, there's an immediate sense of familiarity, a warm, chaotic energy that only the McAllister family can bring. It's Christmas again, and this time the destination is sunny Florida. But as expected, things at the McAllister house are anything but smooth. Kevin, now a year older and just as clever and outspoken, finds himself once again at odds with his family. In a house brimming with relatives, laughter, and last-minute packing, there's tension bubbling just under the surface. The kind that feels all too real for anyone who's ever tried to coordinate a massive family trip during the holidays. The initial conflict hits with the kind of comedic brutality only Home Alone could deliver. At a holiday pageant, Kevin's solo moment is spectacularly ruined when Buzz, ever the provocateur older brother, humiliates him in front of the entire audience. What follows is a moment of raw honesty from Kevin as he defiantly tells his family exactly how he feels. The fallout? Another emotional rift that once again makes him feel like an outsider in his own home. But this time, he doesn't wish for them to disappear. He just wants to be heard, respected, and maybe just a little bit alone. The next morning, the McAllisters do something unthinkable. Again. In true fashion, they oversleep, triggering a mad scramble to make their flight. It's a montage of flying clothes, spilled orange juice, and shouted roll calls as the family races to the airport. Kevin, ever curious and distracted, lingers just a little too long at the wrong gate, chasing the wrong man in a matching coat. In a brilliant bit of miscommunication and bad timing, he ends up on a completely different flight, one bound for New York City. And just like that, the film's real adventure begins. Kevin stepping out of the terminal into the heart of Manhattan is a moment of cinematic glee. Skyscrapers tower above, yellow taxis honk their chaotic chorus, and the cold winter air bites with promise. Armed with his dad's credit card and a bag full of possibilities, Kevin doesn't panic. He marvels. He explores. Because for the first time, the city is his. He wastes no time soaking in the wonder. He visits the top of the World Trade Center, staring out at the endless skyline with wide eyes. He roams Central Park. He grabs a hot dog, records hilarious messages into a talkboy recorder, and does exactly what a kid with no rules and no parents would do in the most magical city on earth, whatever he wants. This isn't just freedom. This is fantasy. A dream dressed in Christmas lights. But dreams come with shadows, and Kevin isn't the only familiar face wandering the city streets. Harry and Marv, the bumbling, once-defeated burglars from the original film, have escaped from prison and are back with a vengeance. Rebranding themselves as the Sticky Bandits, their ridiculous antics are matched only by their sheer determination to strike it rich and get even. It doesn't take long before fate, or maybe just cinematic mischief, crosses their path with Kevin's. When Kevin spots them in the middle of a New York sidewalk, there's a beat of frozen realization on both sides, and then chaos. Kevin's narrow escape from Harry and Marv is as frantic as it is funny, and it sets the stage for a game of cat and mouse that will eventually explode into something far bigger. But before that storm brews, Kevin continues his solo holiday, checking into the legendary Plaza Hotel with stolen confidence and his dad's credit card. What follows is pure movie gold. Tim Curry, as the hotel's unctuous concierge, steals every scene he's in. With a smile that drips with suspicion and a voice as smooth as syrup, he immediately senses something's off with this pint-sized guest. But Kevin, always one step ahead, knows how to charm and manipulate with the best of them. He creates a believable backstory, dazzles the staff with his confidence, and even uses a cleverly edited gangster movie clip to scare off the nosy hotel crew in one of the film's most hilarious callbacks. Watching the hotel staff react in terrified confusion to Kevin's elaborate ruse is a masterclass in comedic timing. Yet as always, the thrill of independence starts to crack. Kevin begins to feel the weight of solitude. He visits Duncan's Toy Chest, a whimsical store run by the kindly Mr. Duncan. The store is more than a toy wonderland. It's a place of genuine warmth and old-fashioned Christmas spirit. When Kevin learns that the store donates its profits to children's charities, he's visibly moved. Mr. Duncan, seeing Kevin's heart, gives him a pair of turtle dove ornaments, one for himself and one to share with a special friend, symbolizing everlasting friendship. The moment lingers longer than expected, softening the mood, quietly layering in a deeper emotional thread. But not far behind are Harry and Marv. This time, they've got a real plan: to rob Duncan's toy chest on Christmas Eve and disappear with the money. And this time, Kevin's not just running from danger. He's running toward it. He stumbles upon their scheme purely by accident, overhearing them while hiding inside a playhouse. It's a classic eavesdrop setup, but the gravity of what he hears is no joke. Suddenly, Kevin isn't just a kid on an adventure. He's the only one who knows what's about to happen. The tension ratchets up as Kevin races back to the Plaza Hotel, only to find that the adults are closing in. The hotel staff, having finally discovered the credit card is stolen, close ranks and chase him through the gilded hallways in a slapstick sequence that echoes classic silent film chases. From sliding down service elevators to outwitting adults at every turn, Kevin remains a delightful mix of fearless and resourceful. Still, reality begins to intrude. With his cover blown and no place to stay, Kevin finds himself truly alone for the first time. As he wanders into Central Park, the tone shifts. The bright lights of the city fade into mist, and the comedic energy gives way to something quieter, more intimate. It's here that he meets the Pigeon Lady, a mysterious figure shrouded in feathers and silence. At first, he's frightened. Who wouldn't be? But soon, curiosity wins. Their bond is slow to build, but sincere. She, like Kevin, knows the ache of being forgotten. She speaks not in exposition, but in metaphor. Her birds are her only companions. Her heart, once broken, has been carefully locked away. Kevin listens. And in listening, he begins to change. That's the quiet genius of the film. It allows space for growth amidst the gags. Kevin isn't the same boy who yelled at his family or tricked hotel clerks. He's learning to see people, to value connection, to recognize that even the smallest acts of kindness, offering a turtle dove, sharing hot chocolate with a stranger, saying thank you, can matter. As Christmas Eve approaches, the threads of the story pull tighter. Kevin knows that Harry and Marv will strike that night. He also knows he's the only one who can stop them. And in the shadows of an empty brownstone under renovation, he begins to prepare. What follows is a montage that somehow manages to feel both epic and ridiculous. Kevin sets the stage with his signature style, booby traps that range from hilarious to borderline dangerous, every one carefully laid with a grin and a glue gun. But just before the storm, there's calm. Kevin stands in front of a cathedral, listening to a children's choir sing. Snow drifts gently down. Lights twinkle. His face, once mischievous, now shows quiet resolve. He makes a silent promise to stop the bad guys, to honor Mr. Duncan's kindness, and maybe, just maybe, to make his family proud. And with that, the first half of Home Alone 2 crescendos toward the inevitable collision. The city, the criminals, the traps, the child standing between right and wrong. But the brilliance lies not just in the setup, but in how much heart has been infused into the journey. What began as a mix-up at the airport has become a mission of redemption. And as the city prepares for Christmas, Kevin prepares for a showdown. What's to come will be louder, wilder, and even more chaotic. But right now, the story stands on a delicate edge, poised between laughter and legacy, between solitude and reunion, between childhood mischief and something much more meaningful. As night begins to fall over New York City, a quiet sense of purpose settles over Kevin. This isn't just another wild plan to escape the clutches of two crooks. This time, It's about protecting something bigger than himself. Duncan's toy chest, a symbol of generosity and holiday spirit, is about to be robbed, and Kevin can't let that happen. Inside the vacant, half-renovated brownstone, he fine-tunes his battleground. Every step creaks under his careful planning. Every trap is set with a mischievous glint in his eye and a quiet sense of duty in his heart. Meanwhile, Harry and Marv, as overconfident as ever, ready themselves for what they think will be an easy heist. They break into the toy store after hours, completely unaware that Kevin has already alerted the police by leaving a note on a brick. One he hurls through the store window, triggering the alarm. What follows is a tense and frantic pursuit through the icy streets of Manhattan. The bandits spot Kevin fleeing the scene and chase him across Central Park and into the looming shadows of the brownstone. Their expressions a blend of frustration and gleeful vengeance. The moment they step into that house, however, they've already lost. The ambush begins with a scream, and then the chaos erupts. Paint can swing from ceilings, tool chests crash downstairs, and every step they take leads to some new, hilariously painful surprise. Marv gets electrocuted, transformed into a cartoonish skeleton with a scream that echoes down the alleyways of slapstick history. Harry is set ablaze, smothered in shellac, and pelted with bricks. Each trap is more inventive than the last, designed with the kind of absurd creativity that could only come from a kid who thinks like an engineer and plays like a prankster. But what makes these sequences so much more than comedic set pieces is how they reflect Kevin's growth. There's intent behind the madness. He's not just defending himself, he's protecting something meaningful. This time, he's fighting with purpose. And though it's easy to laugh at Harry and Marv's escalating misery, the sequence carries a thread of triumph. Kevin is no longer running away from danger. He's confronting it head-on. Eventually, the house collapses into utter mayhem, and Kevin, ever the strategist, leads the duo into Central Park for one final showdown. By now, he's worn them down, outsmarted them at every turn. But it's not just physical exhaustion catching up to Harry and Marv. It's the inevitability of karma. As they catch Kevin at last and prepare to deliver their revenge, the tide turns with the flap of wings. The pigeon lady, cloaked in feathers and mystery, emerges from the shadows. Her silent command over the birds transforms into an epic moment of poetic justice. Thousands of pigeons descend, swarming the bandits, covering them in feathers and fear. It's a moment of sheer visual delight and a testament to unlikely friendships. Kevin's gentle kindness to the pigeon lady has come full circle. She saves him, just as he once reached out to her. The police arrive moments later, alerted by Kevin's note, and Harry and Marv are finally arrested, again. This time, they're caught red-handed with a bag of stolen charity money and a string of bruises that tell a hilarious tale of their downfall. As Kevin watches them dragged away, there's no gloating in his eyes, just satisfaction, and maybe a little relief. With the villains defeated and the toy store saved, Kevin quietly slips away into the early hours of Christmas morning. Snow falls like powdered sugar on the city, dusting the sidewalks with peace. He returns to the rooftop of the same hotel he once escaped, looking out over the sleeping skyline, the city no longer a playground, but a part of him now. The emotional weight of everything he's experienced, loneliness, danger, courage, and connection, sits on his shoulders like a heavy coat. And it's in that stillness that Kevin remembers what Christmas is really about. While all of this unfolds, the McAllisters are in a panic. After realizing Kevin is missing, again, they fly to New York and begin the search. Kate McAllister, driven by motherly instinct and guilt, traverses the city in a desperate attempt to find her son. She visits police stations, hotels, landmarks, clinging to the hope that somehow, Kevin will be where he's always been in her heart. Safe, smart, and maybe just waiting for her. And she's right. The final reunion happens not with fanfare, but with quiet warmth. Inside the grand lobby of the Plaza Hotel, decorated with shimmering lights and garlands, Kevin wakes to the sound of his mother's voice. She stands at the foot of the massive Christmas tree, and when their eyes meet, the moment is electric. No words are needed. The embrace says everything. It's one of the film's most touching scenes, balancing sentimentality with the payoff of a journey finally complete. In her arms, Kevin is no longer lost. The rest of the McAllisters soon follow, tumbling into the suite with laughter and hugs, chaos and joy. Even Buzz, for once, seems impressed with his little brother's ability to survive New York on his own. But the film doesn't end with Kevin simply returning to the fold. It gives him something deeper. Kevin slips away with a quiet thought. He remembers the pigeon lady and the turtle dove ornaments given to him by Mr. Duncan. Holding them close, he rushes out of the hotel and back to Central Park. There, amidst the snow and the silence, he finds her again. She stands like a statue, birds perched gently on her shoulders. When he gives her the second turtle dove, she's visibly moved. Her eyes fill with tears, not from the cold, but from something thawing inside her. Kevin doesn't just thank her. He sees her. He makes her feel seen. It's a simple gesture, but it resonates louder than all the traps, louder than the fireworks. It's the soul of the movie in one small act of kindness. Back at the hotel, chaos reigns again as Kevin's use of his dad's credit card is finally discovered. Mr. McAllister's voice bellows through the suite as Kevin runs off into the snow, laughter trailing behind him. It's a perfect final beat, one that reminds us Kevin is still a kid, still mischievous, still the heart of his own story. Home Alone 2, Lost in New York wraps itself in comedy, heart, and Christmas magic. But beneath its larger-than-life hijinks and citywide adventures lies a deeper story, one about growing up, about learning to see beyond yourself, about turning loneliness into connection. Kevin may have been lost in the biggest city in the world, but he found something even greater: compassion, courage, and the power of simple kindness. That's what makes this sequel not just a rehash of the original, but a worthy evolution. It takes the familiar and makes it grander, both in scope and in heart. It gives us new memories, unforgettable laughs, and just enough emotion to bring a tear to the eye, all wrapped in the glittering glow of Christmas in New York. And as the credits roll and the music swells, we're left with the same feeling Kevin had while watching that choir in the cathedral. That in the midst of all the noise and spectacle, there's still room for quiet wonder. For moments of connection. For believing in the best of people. That's the magic of Home Alone 2. It's more than just a holiday classic. It's a story about finding your way back, even when you're far from home. At the heart of it all, Kevin McAllister isn't just a kid who sets booby traps or wanders into adventures. He's a symbol of resilience, of the unshakable spirit of childhood when confronted with fear, isolation, and the unknown. From the very first moment we see him at the chaotic family gathering, Kevin is once again cast aside, his voice drowned out by louder ones, his needs overlooked in the flood of McAllister mayhem. There's an unmistakable sting in the way he's treated, especially by Buzz, whose public humiliation of Kevin sets the entire emotional journey in motion. Kevin's retaliation, while mischievous, isn't about causing trouble. It's his desperate attempt to be seen. But where Kevin begins as a boy craving attention and recognition, what truly defines his arc is what happens once he's alone. Unlike the first film, Kevin doesn't wake up to an empty house in a familiar suburb. He finds himself in the middle of one of the biggest cities in the world, completely unsupervised, surrounded by strangers, and armed only with his curiosity, wit, and a wallet full of his dad's credit cards. This is where Macaulay Culkin's performance truly shines. It's not just his comedic timing or expressive face that captivates. It's the subtle emotional beats he hits between the jokes. The way he moves through New York, wide-eyed but determined, reveals a deep inner world. He's not just surviving the city. He's learning from it. Kevin's transformation isn't loud or dramatic. It's quietly profound. As he explores Manhattan, visiting the top of the World Trade Center, befriending a concierge, escaping from crooks, he begins to understand more about himself and others. He learns that being alone and being lonely aren't always the same thing. He discovers empathy, especially through his interactions with the pigeon lady. This shift is essential to his growth. By the end, Kevin isn't seeking validation anymore. He's offering it. Opposite him stand Harry and Marv, the not-so-dynamic duo who return with the same greed, idiocy, and comic timing that made them so memorable in the first film. But this time, they're a little grittier, a little more desperate. Having escaped from prison and landed themselves in New York, Their goal isn't just revenge. It's to pull off the kind of heist that will finally make them rich. Joe Pesci's Harry remains the brains of the operation, or at least what passes for brains in their slapstick world. His quick temper and false bravado make him perpetually entertaining. Meanwhile, Daniel Stern's Marv is delightfully dim-witted, always one step behind and hilariously unprepared for the chaos Kevin hurls their way. Together, they function not just as comic relief, but as exaggerated mirrors of adult irresponsibility. Where Kevin takes responsibility for his actions, protects others, and uses his intelligence for good, Harry and Marv are selfish, short-sighted, and completely lacking in foresight. Their comeuppance is both earned and satisfying, and the physical comedy that drives it is executed with precision. But beyond the laughs, their failure reinforces Kevin's journey. He isn't just clever, he's growing up. He understands consequences and cares about doing the right thing, even when it's hard. Then there's Kate McAllister, Kevin's mother, portrayed once again with heartfelt urgency by Catherine O'Hara. While the first film gave her a singular mission, get back to her son, Home Alone 2 deepens her emotional range. Her panic is just as palpable, but it's laced with guilt and a kind of quiet self-recrimination. She doesn't just miss Kevin. She regrets not learning more from the first time. Her desperation to find him isn't just about love, it's about redemption. And when they reunite in front of the Plaza Hotel's Christmas tree, the look in her eyes carries all of that weight. It's one of the most tender moments in the film, grounded entirely by O'Hara's honest, unpretentious performance. Kevin's father, Peter, remains more of a background figure, aloof, distracted, and unintentionally comedic in his calm acceptance of everything going wrong. But his absence helps amplify Kevin's autonomy. With no father figure guiding him, Kevin must rely on his own instincts and growing moral compass. Even so, John Hurd delivers a subtly warm presence, especially in the final scenes, giving just enough to remind us that the McAllisters, for all their dysfunction, do care deeply for each other. Among the supporting cast, Tim Curry's portrayal of the Plaza Hotel concierge stands out with theatrical delight. He's suspicious from the start, his arched eyebrows and silky voice dripping with condescension. Curry masterfully walks the line between villain and buffoon. His exaggerated reactions, especially to Kevin's mischievous tricks, create some of the film's most memorable non-criminal comedic moments. Whether he's chasing Kevin through the hotel or reacting in horror to a surprise encounter with the Angels with Even Filthier Souls tape, Curry makes every scene better just by being in it. Alongside him, Rob Schneider as the bellhop provides a contrasting charm. His goofy attempts to curry favor with Kevin for tips and his reluctant obedience to Curry's bluster add a lighter, almost cartoonish layer to the hotel subplot. Their interactions with Kevin not only expand the comedic universe but also highlight the difference between adults who underestimate kids and those who grow to admire them. But perhaps no character leaves as lasting an impression as the Pigeon Lady, played by Brenda Fricker. She is the film's emotional core. A quiet figure draped in tattered clothes and mystery, she lives on the fringes of society, invisible to most and feared by many. But Kevin, in his most significant moment of empathy, doesn't run from her. He listens. Their bond grows not through dramatic speeches, but through shared silences and the quiet confessions of two souls who have both felt left behind. The park scene, where she opens up about her past and fears of being hurt again, is profoundly moving. Fricker's performance is understated yet powerful, her eyes carrying decades of sorrow and yearning. Kevin's response, offering her friendship and trust through the symbolic turtle-dove ornament, is not just heartwarming. It's transformative. In that moment, he's no longer just a kid. He becomes a giver of hope. This subplot does more than just tug at heartstrings. It crystallizes the film's central theme, that even in a city of millions, it's the connections we make that define us. The Pigeon Lady doesn't just help Kevin. She represents what he might become if he stopped trusting, stopped believing in others. By reaching out to her, Kevin is saving a part of himself too. Even minor characters, from the kind-hearted toy store owner Mr. Duncan, who believes in the magic of giving, to the tough but fair New York police officers, serve as reflections of Kevin's journey. Mr. Duncan, especially, stands as a symbol of the pure holiday spirit. His letter to Kevin, thanking him for saving the toy store and praising his bravery, is a quiet benediction, affirming that Kevin's actions mattered far beyond his own world. Every character in Home Alone 2, no matter how small their screen time, contributes to the tapestry of Kevin's adventure. Whether they hinder him, help him, or merely cross his path, they all become part of the mosaic of a young boy finding his place in a big, unpredictable world. This character-driven depth is what elevates the film from mere sequel to something much richer. It's not just about traps and gags. It's about people. It's about a boy who grows not just by surviving on his own, but by choosing kindness, courage, and connection when it matters most. It's about a mother who realizes that loving her child means understanding him. It's about how even the most unlikely people, whether they're covered in feathers or working behind a hotel desk, can shape someone's story forever. In the end, Kevin McAllister doesn't just defeat the bad guys. He brings people together. He inspires trust. He shows that no matter how lost you may feel, there's always a way back, through laughter, love, and the courage to reach out. And that's why, long after the credits roll and the snow settles over Central Park, these characters stay with us. They remind us of the child in all of us who wants to be heard, the adult who needs to remember how to listen, and the magic that happens when those two meet in the middle, somewhere in the heart of New York City, on a snowy Christmas night. There's a kind of cinematic magic in Home Alone 2, lost in New York that goes far beyond slapstick traps and mischievous tricks. Beneath its festive surface lies a hidden network of details, callbacks, and cultural threads that quietly weave the story together, rewarding the sharp-eyed and offering a deeper appreciation for this Christmas classic. What feels at first like a whirlwind comedy is also a carefully layered film filled with winks to its predecessor, subtle character foreshadowing, and visual storytelling that speaks volumes without a word. As Kevin wakes up in the wrong city, the movie wastes no time echoing its original roots, but with a twist. The McAllisters are once again scrambling to catch a plane, repeating the chaos that defined the first film. But this time, everything is slightly off. The family does make it to the airport on time, a clever subversion that sets viewers at ease, only to yank the rug out from under them moments later. Kevin's separation doesn't happen because they forgot him. It happens because he gets swept up in a moment of childish curiosity and ends up following the wrong man through the terminal. That man, of course, is dressed exactly like his dad, right down to the camel coat and the haircut, an intentional visual misdirect that doubles as a lesson in perspective. The world, it seems, is full of near misses and illusions, and Kevin's journey is about learning to navigate it on his own terms. Even the airplane sequence is rich with implication. Kevin boards a different flight to New York, and as the plane takes off, we catch a brief, overhead glimpse of the city skyline before Kevin realizes his mistake. That aerial shot, subtle but meaningful, is the same style used in the first film when he discovers his home alone. It's a visual callback, almost a cinematic signature, letting us know the adventure is about to begin again, but in a much bigger playground. Once in New York, Kevin's exploration of the city is filled with more than just childlike wonder. Every location he visits is chosen with symbolic resonance. The Plaza Hotel, a symbol of opulence and control, becomes his temporary sanctuary, a place where he can pretend to be grown up, to take charge, and to live out his fantasies. But this illusion is constantly challenged. When the concierge played by Tim Curry finally uncovers Kevin's ruse, the walls start to close in, forcing him to escape and once again rely on his own resourcefulness. But even the tools he uses to do so, the voice recordings, the inflatable clown in the shower, are upgraded versions of the tricks he used in the first film. They're more elaborate, more sophisticated, as if Kevin himself has evolved alongside his plans. One of the most delightful Easter eggs comes in the form of the movie Kevin watches on VHS, Angels with Even Filthier Souls. This fictional noir film is a direct sequel to the one used in Home Alone, Angels with Filthy Souls. It's a clever meta-joke not just for Kevin, but for the audience, who recognizes the absurdly dramatic gangster dialogue and gunplay from the first time around. It's also a reminder that Kevin, despite being alone, is never without his influences. He models his tricks, his threats, even his bravado on what is absorbed from movies, a reflection of how media shapes imagination in the minds of kids. But the most meaningful hidden gems often come in the form of subtle symbolism. Take, for instance, the twin turtle doves that Mr. Duncan gives Kevin at Duncan's toy chest. At face value, they're just ornaments. But as the film unfolds, they take on immense emotional weight. Mr. Duncan's explanation, that turtle doves represent friendship and that each person should keep one and give the other to someone special, quietly lays the groundwork for Kevin's climactic act of kindness. When he gives one dove to the pigeon lady in the final scene, it becomes more than a gesture. It's a binding promise. It's Kevin's way of saying, I see you. I value you. You're not alone. And it ties perfectly back to the central theme of the movie, connection, even in the midst of chaos. Speaking of the pigeon lady, her scenes in Central Park are peppered with quiet visual storytelling. Often shown surrounded by birds, isolated from the world, her presence is ethereal, almost otherworldly. But when Kevin sits beside her and begins to listen, the camera slows. The framing becomes tighter. The park, once vast and intimidating, begins to feel intimate. The contrast between her dark, drab clothing and Kevin's bright, bundled outfit creates a visual dialogue between despair and hope. And if you look closely during their conversations, you'll notice that Kevin often mirrors her posture, tilting his head, curling his hands, an unspoken sign of empathy and understanding. These aren't just clever details. They're visual metaphors for connection across differences. Foreshadowing, too, plays a critical role in elevating the film's narrative. Early on, during the school concert scene, Buzz publicly mocks Kevin, leading to yet another explosive family dispute. But if you watch Buzz's body language throughout that scene, there's a subtle flicker of guilt, just enough to hint that his later apology, though played for comedy, is rooted in real growth. Similarly, when Kevin prays inside the church during the first film, he wishes not just to get his family back, but to learn to appreciate them. That thread continues here. His yearning is no longer about being left behind. It's about reconnecting. When he visits the Rockefeller Center Christmas tree in hopes of finding his mother, he's not seeking rescue. He's extending hope. And then there's the toy store itself, Duncan's toy chest. It's not just a magical wonderland filled with trains and twinkling lights. It's a battleground for values. Harry and Marv want to rob it, reducing the magic to material gain. Kevin wants to protect it, not because it's his, but because it represents something bigger than himself. When he donates the money he has to the children's hospital, it's a defining moment. The film doesn't linger on it. It doesn't need to. The gesture speaks volumes. And if you pause the scene right before he slips the envelope into the donation box, you can just make out the words "Merry Christmas" from one of your biggest fans. It's a callback to the heartfelt sincerity Kevin showed Old Man Marley in the first film. A moment when, despite his age, Kevin reveals a maturity that far exceeds what anyone expects of him. Cultural threads also subtly anchor the film. The use of the Plaza Hotel, owned at the time by Donald Trump, includes a brief cameo that, while now infamous, originally served as a tongue-in-cheek nod to New York extravagance. Trump's appearance lasts mere seconds, but it's a reminder of the city's larger-than-life persona. Meanwhile, the inclusion of iconic NYC landmarks, from Radio City Music Hall to the Twin Towers, grounds the film in a real, recognizable place. But these aren't just backdrops. They're emotional waypoints. The World Trade Center, shown when Kevin first realizes he's alone in the city, looms not just as a symbol of power, but of scale. Kevin, dwarfed by its enormity, is at once awed and terrified. That tension, between wonder and fear, defines much of the film's emotional core. Even the soundtrack hides layered meaning. John Williams returns with a score that mirrors the emotional journey, from the whimsical opening melodies to the hauntingly beautiful Star of Bethlehem during the final reunion. If you listen closely during Kevin's walk through Central Park, the background music isn't just eerie. It's built on motifs from the first film, slowed down, made somber, as if the city itself is echoing Kevin's inner fears. Music becomes memory, gently nudging the audience through emotional terrain that words alone couldn't chart. The traps, too, hold secrets. While we laugh at Marv getting electrocuted or Harry's head catching fire, each device Kevin uses is actually a variation on something from the first movie, but upgraded for an urban environment. Paint cans swinging from ropes become a tool for vertical assault in a townhouse. The tarantula becomes a bag of cement mix. What these traps represent isn't just comedic escalation. They're Kevin's internal response to an even greater challenge. Bigger city, bigger tricks. But underneath the laughter, there's a boy who's learning to adapt, to respond, to stay one step ahead, not out of cruelty, but survival. Even the credits offer one last wink. After the final hug, the family laughs, the tree twinkles, and the chaos has settled. But then comes Kevin's father's voice. Kevin, you spent how much on room service? It's a closing joke, yes, but also a bookend to the theme of perceived recklessness versus true independence. Kevin's journey, expensive as it may have been, was never about indulgence. It was about learning how to be responsible for himself, and, eventually, others. In every frame, Home Alone 2, Lost in New York is speaking to us in whispers. It's in the background props, the subtle expressions, the mirrored shots from the first film, the lines that echo and evolve. It's a sequel that respects its roots, deepens its meaning, and rewards those who watch not just with their eyes, but with their hearts. It's not just a film about getting lost. It's about what you find when you do, and the hidden treasures you take with you when you make your way back home. Behind the glittering Christmas lights, chaotic traps, and snowy streets of Home Alone 2, Lost in New York lies a world of peculiar facts and behind-the-scenes stories that feel as wild and unpredictable as Kevin's journey through Manhattan. While the film itself plays out like a whimsical holiday adventure, its production was a blend of ambition, unexpected obstacles, and creative decisions that shaped it into a cultural icon. From securing legendary landmarks to dealing with eccentric cameos and spontaneous improvisations, the making of this sequel was anything but ordinary. Let's start with the location that became almost a character itself, the Plaza Hotel. Getting access to film inside one of the most prestigious hotels in New York wasn't just a bold move. It was a negotiation that added an unforgettable cameo. Donald Trump, who owned the plaza at the time, only allowed the production to film there under one condition. He had to appear in the movie. So, the brief moment when Kevin asks for directions and Trump points him down the hall isn't just a scene. It's a contractual obligation. Ironically, that 5-second appearance became one of the film's most talked-about moments years later, sparking debates, edits, and even parody. But back in the early 90s, it was simply part of the behind-the-scenes hustle to bring authenticity to Kevin's New York experience. Authenticity, however, came at a cost. Shooting in actual New York City locations during the winter season posed serious challenges for the cast and crew. The weather was unpredictable. Scenes that required snow often had to rely on artificial effects, and there were days when the city's natural bustle made it nearly impossible to control background noise. In fact, many of the interior New York scenes were shot in Chicago soundstages, meticulously dressed to mimic the grand interiors of the plaza and the toy store. Duncan's Toy Chest, for example, wasn't a real toy store. It was modeled after FAO Schwartz but was created as a set inside the Rookery Building in Chicago. The set designers spared no detail, filling the store with handcrafted toys and an elaborate holiday setup that gave it an enchanted, almost storybook quality. But perhaps one of the most fascinating facts is just how closely the filmmakers stuck to their young star's strengths. Macaulay Culkin was at the height of his fame, and the film was written specifically with him in mind. Writer and producer John Hughes crafted the script as a vehicle for Culkin's charm and comedic timing, which meant the entire narrative hinged on his ability to carry not just scenes, but entire emotional beats. The production schedule was adjusted around his needs, ensuring he had enough time between takes and limiting filming hours to accommodate his age. Despite these restrictions, Culkin delivered, improvising some of his most memorable lines and reactions, including his stunned double-take at the hotel clerk when caught, and the pure delight during his Central Park exploration. Tim Curry, who played the suspicious concierge at the plaza, also added a touch of theatrical flair that took on a life of its own. Curry's character was designed as a foil, someone elegant, cunning, and slightly sinister, but never outright villainous. The exaggerated smile he gives after Kevin tricks the hotel staff using the movie clip became one of the film's most GIF-worthy moments. That smile, as it turns out, was not part of the original direction. It was Curry's own flourish, and the crew was so taken by it that they extended the shot just to let the expression linger. In fact, Curry and the rest of the hotel staff, including Rob Schneider as the bellhop, reportedly had a blast improvising reactions, with Schneider often trying to make Culkin break character by slipping candy into his palm after asking for a tip. While the movie sparkled with holiday cheer on screen, behind the scenes, tensions occasionally flared. Joe Pesci, known for his intense method acting, struggled to keep his performance family-friendly. Coming off of roles in Goodfellas and Casino, Pesci had to censor himself constantly on set. In scenes where Harry gets injured or frustrated, Pesci would often mutter gibberish like frizzle-frazzle to avoid cursing, a hilarious workaround that became his character's trademark. He even accidentally bit Macaulay Culkin on the finger during the scene where Harry threatens to bite Kevin's fingers off, leaving a small scar. Culkin later joked about it, saying Pesci got really into character. And Pesci wasn't the only one who pushed physical boundaries. The stunt work in Home Alone 2 was even more extreme than in the first film. Daniel Stern, who returned as the bumbling Marv, once described the physical comedy as both exhilarating and terrifying. In the infamous electrocution scene, Stern was so committed that he mimicked a full-body convulsion that looked disturbingly real. The scream he lets out? That wasn't dubbed. It was captured live, and it was so intense that the crew worried something had gone wrong. Stern later confessed that he just went for it, giving the performance everything he had in the moment. One strange twist in the production came from the film's musical choices. Composer John Williams returned after scoring the original Home Alone, and while his music once again elevated the emotional tone of the sequel, there was a brief moment when it looked like he might not come back. Initially, the studio considered hiring another composer due to scheduling conflicts, but Chris Columbus, the director, insisted on Williams' involvement. The score, particularly pieces like Christmas Star and Merry Christmas, added layers of nostalgic warmth and grandeur. Williams' decision to blend classical Christmas motifs with sweeping orchestral arrangements gave the movie its emotional pulse, and likely helped cement it as a holiday favorite. And then there's the pigeons. Central Park's iconic bird population became essential to the emotional core of the film through the Pigeon Lady, played by Brenda Fricker. But filming with pigeons was notoriously difficult. They were trained to fly at specific cues, but that didn't always go according to plan. Fricker had to stand completely still, covered in seeds, for long stretches, and she later admitted she found the experience both surreal and oddly serene. The birds would sometimes land on the wrong actors, interrupt scenes, or refuse to fly altogether. Still, their presence added a sense of quiet magic to the park scenes, and the shot of them circling Kevin and the Pigeon Lady at the climax took several days to perfect. One of the oddest bits of behind-the-scenes trivia involves the now infamous Talk Boy. Originally created as a fictional gadget for Kevin to use in the film, the Talk Boy was just a prop with no real functionality. But after the movie's release, fan demand was so high that Tiger Electronics developed a real version of it, complete with slow-motion voice effects. The Talk Boy became one of the most popular toys of the early 90s, proving that a clever movie prop could leap off the screen and into millions of kids' hands. Of course, with popularity comes controversy, and Home Alone 2 hasn't escaped criticism over the years. Some viewers argued that the violence was amped up too much in this sequel, bordering on cartoonish brutality. Critics pointed out that Harry and Marv's injuries were more extreme and, if taken literally, would have been fatal. But the filmmakers leaned into the idea that the traps were fantasy. They approached the slapstick like a live-action cartoon, with exaggerated sound effects and impossible survival rates designed to elicit laughter rather than concern. It was a tightrope walk, and not everyone agreed it worked, but the kids loved it. Even the film's editing had its quirks. One deleted scene featured Kevin visiting a Christmas-themed department store where he daydreams about turning into an adult and running his own company, a la Big. The sequence was ultimately cut for pacing, but it hinted at Kevin's longing to be taken seriously by the adults around him. Another dropped subplot involved Buzz getting lost in New York and teaming up with Kevin, a dynamic that could have added more depth to their rival-returned friendship arc. These edits, while understandable, remain tantalizing glimpses of a slightly different movie that might have been. And perhaps one of the strangest lasting legacies of Home Alone 2 is how it continues to spark annual debates, memes, and even public policy decisions. Over the years, there have been calls to remove Donald Trump's cameo, which some broadcasters have done. But when asked about it in later interviews, even Macaulay Culkin weighed in with good humor, suggesting he didn't mind the edits. The film, like its protagonist, seems to adapt to each generation, shifting its meaning and impact with time. In the end, the creation of Home Alone 2 wasn't just a film production. It was a sprawling, unpredictable journey filled with compromise, improvisation, happy accidents, and a dash of movie magic. It's a story about a little boy alone in a big city, yes, but also about the passionate crew, quirky actors, and bold decisions that made that story unforgettable. The snow may have been fake. The traps may have defied logic. But the heart behind the scenes? That was always real. There's a particular magic in revisiting Home Alone 2, Lost in New York, not just as a nostalgic sequel to one of the most beloved holiday classics, but as a layered cinematic experience packed with defining moments that continue to resonate through time. Beneath its comic surface and slapstick charm lies a deeper emotional core, a collection of scenes that strike a balance between humor and heart, mischief and meaning. It's these key moments that elevate the film beyond a simple retread of its predecessor and into a story that captures the fragile strength of childhood, the complexity of forgiveness, and the bittersweet nature of growing up just a little too fast. One of the earliest pivotal moments arrives not in a grand trap or an elaborate gag, but in a quiet, overlooked exchange between Kevin and his mother at the family's bustling home. Amid the chaos of packing for their Florida vacation, Kevin voices a wish that echoes through the narrative: to spend Christmas alone, away from the misunderstandings and neglect that seemed to define his place in the family. Unlike the angry outburst in the original film, this moment feels softer, more resigned. It carries the weight of a child who's grown tired of being dismissed, setting the emotional groundwork for the story's deeper exploration of belonging and identity. The sequence at the airport, chaotic, perfectly timed, and deeply ironic, is another masterstroke. As the family rushes through the terminal, the camera captures the symmetry of fate repeating itself. Kevin, once again separated from the group, finds himself on the wrong plane, swept into the very wish he made just days before. But this time, the stakes are different. The city that greets him isn't the familiar comfort of suburban Chicago. It's New York, towering, busy, unpredictable. The use of music and framing here heightens the scale of his adventure. When Kevin steps out of the airport and onto the Manhattan streets for the first time, wide-eyed and grinning, we feel it too, the thrill of freedom, the pulse of possibility. Yet this moment also plants a subtle tension. This isn't the same boy who screamed in his bathroom mirror. He's smarter now, but also more aware of just how big the world truly is. Perhaps one of the most emotionally resonant scenes unfolds in Central Park, with the introduction of the Pigeon Lady. At first glance, she appears as a minor character, one of those quirky city dwellers meant to color the backdrop. But as Kevin begins to connect with her, the film shifts. Their nighttime conversation in the rafters of Carnegie Hall is a masterclass in unexpected emotional depth. The warm amber glow of the stage lights contrasts the coldness of the park, creating a safe space for vulnerability. Here, Kevin learns about heartbreak, about trust lost and slowly regained. It's in this scene that the movie reveals its true heart, not in the pranks or the plans, but in the quiet act of listening. The Pigeon Lady becomes more than a side character. She becomes a mirror, showing Kevin, and us, that even the most forgotten people have stories worth hearing. On the comedic side, one cannot overlook the montage of Kevin enjoying the Plaza Hotel. The humor is crisp, the editing tight, and Culkin's physical comedy remains effortlessly charming. Watching a child manipulate luxury with casual bravado is not only hilarious, it's a brilliant use of contrast. Kevin, still small in stature, commands room service, rides in limousines, and strolls the hotel halls with the air of someone far older. Yet there's a poignant undertone to these sequences. As opulent as the hotel is, Kevin is alone, watching holiday movies and eating ice cream not out of joy, but to fill a void. The film doesn't scream this theme, but it lingers, underscoring that independence, while exciting, can also feel achingly empty without someone to share it with. One of the film's most climactic, and ironically tender, moments comes during the final showdown at the abandoned townhouse. The trap-filled sequence is, on the surface, a brilliant extension of what worked so well in the first film. Inventive, borderline insane booby traps that reduce two adult criminals to yelping, broken messes. But the moment is more than just slapstick. Kevin's determination to protect Duncan's toy chest, a store that represents the joy of childhood and the magic of Christmas, speaks to his growing sense of justice. He's no longer just defending himself. He's standing up for something bigger. Each trap, as ridiculous as it may be, is crafted not in spite, but in purpose. And as Harry and Marv stumble through the carnage, the audience experiences a cathartic blend of laughter and triumph, recognizing that Kevin has truly grown in confidence and courage. Another critical scene, and one that deserves far more credit, is the confrontation in the hotel lobby. After being exposed and chased by the Plaza staff, Kevin stands defiantly, cornered but unbroken. The way the scene builds, with Tim Curry's concierge looming and Kevin pressed against the elevator doors, is almost theatrical. And then comes the twist. Kevin uses his talkboy to outsmart the adults once again, flipping the power dynamic. The brilliance here isn't just in the cleverness of the trick, but in the way it reaffirms Kevin's ingenuity and composure under pressure. It's a callback to his previous tricks, but escalated, showing that Kevin isn't just reacting, he's adapting. The comedic payoff is brilliant, but the underlying message is even better. Wit and courage, even in a child, can outmatch authority. Audience reactions to these moments over the years have remained remarkably consistent. Fans continue to cite the rooftop escape and the brick tosses as outrageous high points, while the emotional beats, particularly the reunion with Kevin's mother in front of the Rockefeller Center tree, strike the soul with enduring force. That final embrace beneath the glittering lights is more than a resolution. It's the fulfillment of Kevin's wish to be remembered, to be missed. The music swells, the camera pans wide, and for a moment, all the chaos, loneliness, and traps fade into something real and deeply human. A boy and his mother, reunited against the backdrop of a city that once felt so overwhelming. Yet even the minor moments sparkle under scrutiny. Kevin's decision to donate the turtle doves, a simple gesture, becomes a symbolic turning point. He's not just learning empathy, he's choosing connection. The turtle doves, as explained by Mr. Duncan, represent lasting friendship, trust, and love. When Kevin gives one to the pigeon lady, it's not just a gift, it's a promise. It's a way of saying, you're not invisible. You matter to me. The gesture lands with emotional weight precisely because it's quiet, understated, and completely sincere. There's also a fascinating contrast between the way Kevin views adults in this film compared to the first. In Home Alone, most adults are obstacles, forgetful, overbearing, or clueless. But in Lost in New York, Kevin begins to see adults as flawed but redeemable. The hotel staff, initially antagonistic, are revealed to be more than caricatures. Even Mr. Hector, the snooty concierge, expresses genuine concern by the end. Kevin's evolution is mirrored in how he interacts with them, not as a boy battling enemies, but as a person navigating complex relationships. Critics and fans alike have noted how this sequel walks a tightrope between revisiting familiar territory and forging new emotional paths. While some argue it follows the blueprint of the original too closely, others see this mirroring as intentional, a way to show how the same boy confronts new, more nuanced challenges. And nowhere is this clearer than in the choice to set the story in New York. The city is more than a backdrop. It's an active force in the film. Its grandeur, danger, and wonder push Kevin to grow in ways the quiet suburbs never could. Every moment he spends alone in the city forces him to confront the consequences of his wish, and every encounter deepens his understanding of others and himself. Perhaps the most overlooked yet powerful aspect of Home Alone 2 is how it explores the theme of memory. Kevin constantly compares his new adventure to the last one, measuring his growth not in years, but in resilience. He remembers what worked, what didn't, and how it felt to be left behind. These memories shape his decisions, from how he sets up his traps to how he navigates adult deception. Memory, in this context, isn't just nostalgia, it's wisdom earned through experience. All these layers come together to create a film that isn't just a comedy, or a sequel, or even just a holiday staple. It's a portrait of a child learning to carve his place in a world that's often too big, too loud, and too indifferent. It captures the tension between wanting independence and longing for home, between being brave and admitting fear. And in doing so, Home Alone 2, Lost in New York becomes a story not just about being lost, but about finding oneself in the most unexpected places. In the final moments, as Kevin awakens to a new snowfall, with his family finally together, we're reminded that the real magic of Christmas isn't in the lights or the presents. It's in the bonds we forge and the love we remember to show. The film's closing chaos, Buzz shouting about the room service bill, is vintage Home Alone, returning to comedy just as it's about to get sentimental. But beneath the punchline lies a deeper truth. Kevin may still be the youngest, the smallest, the one everyone forgets, but he's also the one who changed the most. Home Alone 2, Lost in New York isn't just a follow-up to a beloved classic. It's a testament to the ingenuity and creativity that propelled it into a new realm of filmmaking, one that expanded the boundaries of what was possible at the time. As a film that leans heavily on physical comedy, clever plotting, and heartwarming moments, it's easy to forget the incredible technical accomplishments that supported its success. Yet behind the comedy and drama lies a series of groundbreaking innovations, production hurdles, and artistic decisions that helped shape the movie into the cultural phenomenon it remains today. From the very start, Home Alone 2 set itself apart from its predecessor by doubling down on its ambition. While the original film had relied on the familiar suburban backdrop, the sequel boldly shifted to New York City, one of the busiest, most iconic, and chaotic cities in the world. The challenge was monumental. How do you take the simple, clever story of a boy left alone and expand it into a grander, more cinematic experience without losing the essence of what made the first film so successful? The solution wasn't just in the plot. It was in the technical and creative choices that gave the movie its heart, humor, and unforgettable sense of scale. One of the most remarkable achievements came in the film's set design and location choices. Filming in New York was no easy feat. The streets were crowded, noisy, and constantly in motion. There was little time to set up shots in the typical controlled, quiet environments most filmmakers are accustomed to. Yet the filmmakers found a way to make the city an integral part of the story without it feeling overwhelming. The decision to film large portions of the movie on location in New York, especially iconic spots like the Plaza Hotel, Central Park, and Rockefeller Plaza, brought an authentic energy to the film that made Kevin's solo adventure feel more epic. However, there was no escaping the logistical nightmare that came with shooting in such a bustling metropolis. Filming around real people, with crowds constantly in motion, was an ongoing struggle. The crew often had to work with limited time slots to capture scenes without disrupting the daily flow of the city. And even when they were able to secure prime spots, there were still the usual challenges. The unpredictable weather, the ever-present sounds of sirens, honking cars, and the constant hum of traffic. But the way the filmmakers handled these challenges speaks to the creativity that went into every shot. The chaotic energy of New York City was skillfully captured, blending seamlessly with the narrative. The backdrop wasn't just an environment. It was a character in itself. On the technical side, there was a lot of innovation going on behind the scenes. One area where the film particularly stood out was in its use of practical effects. While the movie certainly employed some traditional special effects to enhance the more fantastical elements, such as Kevin's elaborate traps and the inevitable pratfalls of Harry and Marv, it was the physical stunts and creative problem-solving that truly set the film apart. The use of practical stunts, from falling bricks to paint cans swinging down stairwells, was a massive logistical challenge. Every trap had to be carefully planned out, with each gag requiring an elaborate setup and safety measures to ensure the actor's safety while maintaining the humor. Perhaps one of the most impressive stunts involved the famous brick-throwing scene. As Marv, played by Daniel Stern, is positioned below a ledge, Kevin, safely on the roof, throws bricks down at him with laser accuracy. The scene was incredibly complex to shoot, requiring meticulous timing and a perfect blend of real stunts and visual effects. What's fascinating about this moment, and many others in the movie, is how the crew managed to keep the humor alive despite the often dangerous stunts. Safety was a top priority, but so was maintaining the physicality that made these moments so uproariously funny. In addition to the elaborate stunts, there was an innovative use of camera techniques that helped elevate the humor to a new level. The Home Alone films are known for their dynamic camera angles and high-energy shots, and this sequel pushed those boundaries even further. One of the most notable examples is the wide-angle shots of Kevin running through the Plaza Hotel. The camera often followed him in one continuous motion, mimicking his frantic energy as he evaded adults, creating a sense of urgency. This technique helped enhance the physical comedy by making Kevin's actions feel more exaggerated, contributing to the over-the-top humor that defined the movie's tone. But it wasn't just about big stunts or high-energy chase scenes. Some of the most memorable moments in Home Alone 2 came from subtle technical choices that enhanced the emotional beats of the film. The lighting, in particular, played a huge role in establishing the movie's emotional atmosphere. The soft, warm lighting in key scenes, like when Kevin meets the pigeon lady in Central Park, contrasted sharply with the colder, harsher lighting in the chaotic, slapstick sequences. These visual shifts helped establish a sense of emotional rhythm throughout the film, giving the audience a break from the wild antics while still maintaining the film's whimsical tone. Moreover, the film's pacing, often fast and unrelenting, was supported by its seamless editing. The cuts between Kevin's encounters with Harry and Marv and his moments of solitude in New York were handled with precision. One moment would pull us into the chaos of his trap-filled townhouse, and the next would bring us to a quieter, more reflective moment, like when Kevin converses with the pigeon lady. This alternating rhythm maintained the film's energy while giving it emotional depth, a balance that kept audiences engaged from start to finish. The filmmakers also made some clever decisions when it came to sound and music. The iconic score by John Williams, which became a hallmark of both Home Alone films, once again played a key role in setting the mood. The music swells at just the right moments, drawing us into the action and heightening the emotional beats of the story. One standout moment is the soaring orchestral score as Kevin gazes at the Rockefeller Center Christmas tree, filled with wonder and sadness at the same time. The music elevates the visual, making it a moment of personal reflection, marking Kevin's growth as he moves from pure independence to understanding the importance of family. In terms of production hurdles, one of the most unique aspects of filming Home Alone 2 was the challenge of balancing the chaotic action with the narrative's emotional core. While physical comedy and slapstick were the main attractions, the filmmakers understood that it was the quieter, more intimate moments that would give the film its heart. This delicate balance required careful attention to every detail, from set design to costume choices. The Plaza Hotel, for example, wasn't just a backdrop. It was an extravagant symbol of wealth and sophistication, one that Kevin used as a playground. But it also served as a contrasting setting for his emotional journey, with its polished surfaces and grandeur underscoring his loneliness. A behind-the-scenes anecdote that's often shared about the film involves the creation of the infamous Talkboy, the toy that Kevin uses to trick the hotel staff into thinking he's an adult. Originally, the Talkboy was created as a prop for the film, but after its success in the movie, it became a real product, sparking a huge demand among fans. The device itself became emblematic of Kevin's resourcefulness, turning a simple toy into a critical plot device. It's a great example of how the creative team didn't just think about what would work for the film. They also understood how to use the cultural impact of the movie to their advantage. There were also stories of collaboration on set that helped define the film's creative output. Director Chris Columbus and screenwriter John Hughes were both deeply invested in making sure that the magic of the first film was preserved while also creating something fresh. The scenes in New York, with their sense of grandeur and chaos, were shaped by their deep understanding of how Kevin's journey mirrored the city's fast-paced rhythm. Columbus's vision was clear. The film needed to maintain its humor but also allow space for Kevin to reflect on the relationships he cherished, the lessons he had learned, and the way he now viewed the world. It's in these details, whether it's the practical effects, the carefully constructed stunts, or the emotional depth created through visual storytelling, that Home Alone 2, Lost in New York stands as a creative achievement in its own right. Every challenge was met with innovation, and every choice, big or small, helped cement its place as more than just a sequel. The film is a masterclass in blending technical craftsmanship with heart, in balancing visual spectacle with emotional truth. And in doing so, it remains a holiday classic, a film that, despite all its high-flying pranks and clever traps, never forgets the importance of family, love, and the joy of being home. Home Alone 2, Lost in New York might be known for its uproarious slapstick humor, but beneath the surface, it's a film rich with deeper messages, profound themes, and social commentary that resonates with audiences on multiple levels. While many viewers are drawn to the visual comedy of a young boy navigating the streets of New York City alone, there's much more to the story than meets the eye. In fact, Home Alone 2 masterfully blends humor with subtle commentary on themes like independence, the value of family, the consequences of consumerism, and even a critique of societal norms surrounding wealth and success. These thematic elements aren't just layered into the story, they're intricately woven into the very fabric of Kevin's journey, the traps he sets, and the interactions he has along the way. One of the most prominent themes in the film is the idea of independence. Kevin, the young protagonist, is left alone not only because of a simple mistake by his family, but because he is viewed as capable of handling the situation on his own. This theme of self-sufficiency runs through the entirety of the movie, from the moment Kevin first realizes he's alone in the city to his ultimate success in overcoming the challenges posed by Harry and Marv. There's a sense of pride in Kevin as he explores New York, growing in confidence with each passing moment. His escapades through the Plaza Hotel, as he navigates the city with an adult's bravado, symbolize a rite of passage for him, a child who, despite his young age, is learning to rely on himself and face adversity head-on. But while Kevin's independence seems empowering, the film doesn't shy away from revealing the drawbacks of being alone. As much as Kevin enjoys the freedom and control over his own life, there are moments when he feels the weight of isolation. The loneliness of being on his own is starkly felt in scenes like when he gazes out at the grandiose Christmas tree at Rockefeller Plaza, or when he meets the pigeon lady in Central Park. These moments are poignant because they contrast Kevin's earlier excitement. They show that true independence doesn't equate to happiness, and it's in these quieter scenes that the movie reveals a key truth. Independence without connection can leave one feeling empty. This leads directly into one of the film's most powerful themes, the importance of family. Throughout Home Alone 2, Kevin's journey is not just about physical survival or taking on a couple of bumbling criminals. It's about understanding that family is where true strength comes from. The film's emotional beats, such as when Kevin realizes he's missing his family or when he helps the pigeon lady, subtly underscore the idea that personal growth isn't just about being alone. It's about learning to appreciate the relationships that make us whole. Kevin's family, who seem oblivious to the depth of his feelings early on, play a crucial role in his transformation. By the end of the movie, after all the adventures and mayhem, Kevin comes to understand that while he may enjoy moments of autonomy, what truly matters is the love and connection he shares with his family. The symbolism of home itself is central to this message. The title of the movie, Home Alone 2, Lost in New York, immediately evokes the idea of home as a safe space, a grounding force. Throughout the film, Kevin's idea of home evolves from the physical space of his house to a deeper understanding of family as home. His adventures in the city are meant to be a temporary escape from his familiar, comfortable life. In New York, everything is larger, more chaotic, and less predictable. Kevin's struggles in the hotel and on the streets of the city serve as a metaphor for how easy it is to get lost in the world, both physically and emotionally. The film ultimately brings him back to his family, reminding viewers that, no matter how grand the world becomes, home is where the heart is. However, it would be an oversimplification to view Home Alone 2 as merely a feel-good family story. There's a more complex layer of social commentary at play, particularly when it comes to the portrayal of wealth and consumerism. The film is often quite critical of excess, using its setting in New York, a symbol of opulence and commercialism, as a backdrop for Kevin's personal journey. One of the film's standout locations is the Plaza Hotel, a lavish symbol of luxury and exclusivity. It's where Kevin stays alone, reveling in its extravagant amenities, yet the film isn't blind to the absurdity of such excess. The hotel, which on the surface appears like a dream destination for Kevin, is also portrayed as a place where people are disconnected from reality. Kevin may have the freedom to enjoy all its luxuries, but it never feels like home. This juxtaposition speaks volumes about the emptiness that wealth can sometimes bring, showing that no amount of money or grandiosity can replace true human connection. In fact, Kevin's interactions with the hotel staff, a group of people who are more concerned with the pursuit of wealth and status than anything else, highlight this critique of consumerism. The staff's indifference to Kevin's needs, as well as their obsession with luxury, stands in stark contrast to his genuine desire for connection. This divide is also echoed in Kevin's encounters with the film's antagonists, Harry and Marv. The burglars, who represent the underworld of crime, also embody greed. But their desire is not about creating a home or a sense of belonging, it's about material gain. The film uses their eventual downfall to show that greed and consumerism ultimately lead to self-destruction, while empathy and human connection lead to growth and fulfillment. Another interesting aspect of Home Alone 2 is its subtle engagement with the concept of childhood and the loss of innocence. Kevin's journey isn't just about him figuring out how to survive in a big city. It's also about his transition from the carefree world of childhood to a more complex understanding of adult themes like loneliness, love, and loss. He's forced to confront these themes head-on, not only through his own experiences but also through his interactions with others, such as the pigeon lady. She, too, has experienced a form of isolation and loss, and her wisdom provides Kevin with a perspective he can't gain from his family or peers. She becomes a key symbol of the lost aspect of the title, representing both the harshness of the adult world and the possibility of redemption through human connection. This shift in Kevin's character also carries a significant symbolic weight. His transformation from a mischievous child to someone capable of empathy and understanding mirrors the broader theme of maturation. The traps he sets for Harry and Marv throughout the film symbolize his growing mastery over his environment, but they also reflect his evolving understanding of right and wrong. Kevin is no longer just trying to get back at his would-be tormentors. He's now using his cleverness to protect the innocent, as evidenced by his ultimate decision to help the pigeon lady. It's a subtle but powerful way of illustrating that childhood, while filled with playfulness and fun, must eventually give way to the complexities of adulthood, where compassion and moral integrity take center stage. Through its humor, heart, and clever storytelling, Home Alone 2 isn't just a slapstick comedy. It's a rich tapestry of themes that reflect society's struggles with consumerism, independence, and the pursuit of happiness. It offers a critique of wealth, excess, and loneliness while championing the enduring power of family and human connection. Beneath the surface of pratfalls and hijinks lies a film that speaks to universal truths, making it not only a timeless holiday classic but a poignant exploration of what it truly means to be home. In Home Alone 2, Lost in New York, the artistry of visual storytelling plays a vital role in elevating the movie from a simple holiday comedy to an immersive, engaging cinematic experience. The visual style, cinematography, and editing not only complement the humor but also enhance the deeper themes embedded within the story. Director Chris Columbus and his team carefully crafted each frame, blending comedic elements with poignant emotional beats, and integrating technical innovations that kept the audience hooked from start to finish. The visual aesthetic of Home Alone 2 is often defined by its bold, energetic use of space. The film's switch from suburban Chicago to the sprawling urban jungle of New York City introduces a whole new world for Kevin, and the cinematography embraces this shift with gusto. The city itself becomes a character in the film, brimming with vibrant colors, high-energy movement, and an almost dizzying sense of scale. Every frame is filled with iconic imagery, from the towering Christmas tree at Rockefeller Plaza to the crowded streets, all of which are captured in wide, sweeping shots that convey the grandeur of New York. These shots, particularly in the opening sequences, offer a sense of awe and wonder that mirrors Kevin's own emotions as he embarks on his solo adventure. The opening scenes of the film are a perfect example of the cinematographic style that defines Home Alone 2. As Kevin rushes through the streets of New York, the camera follows him with dynamic tracking shots, seamlessly moving through the busy crowds. The cinematography doesn't just show Kevin in the city, it places him in the middle of it, making the audience feel as though they're running alongside him. This technique draws viewers into Kevin's world, amplifying the sense of excitement and danger that he experiences. The frantic pace of these early scenes, where Kevin is both exhilarated and slightly overwhelmed, is matched by the camera's fluid movements, which mirror his feelings of joy and disorientation. When it comes to the Plaza Hotel, the filmmakers use the space to its full potential. The opulent setting contrasts sharply with Kevin's childlike wonder and his sense of isolation. The grandeur of the hotel is captured with wide-angle shots, emphasizing its scale and the lavishness of its interior. However, it is also framed in a way that subtly highlights Kevin's loneliness. While the hotel is filled with luxury, Kevin's interactions with the staff, who often treat him as an inconvenience rather than a guest, reinforce the feeling that wealth and luxury, as appealing as they may seem, cannot provide the emotional connection that Kevin craves. In a visual sense, the luxurious setting of the hotel becomes both a playground for Kevin and a metaphor for the emptiness that can accompany material excess. A key stylistic choice that sets Home Alone 2 apart is the film's seamless transition between moments of high tension and emotional introspection. The pacing of the editing plays a significant role here, cutting quickly during scenes of physical comedy or chase sequences, then slowing down during emotional or reflective moments. This rhythm mirrors Kevin's emotional journey. During the more chaotic sequences, like when he sets his elaborate traps or runs through the Plaza Hotel, the quick edits and fast-paced shots build an adrenaline-pumping rhythm that matches the intensity of the action. In contrast, when the film takes a quieter turn, such as when Kevin meets the pigeon lady or reflects on his relationship with his family, the slower pacing allows for deeper emotional engagement. The contrast between these two styles of pacing helps highlight the emotional core of the movie, allowing it to breathe in moments of introspection while still maintaining its comedic momentum. The traps Kevin sets throughout the film are another example of how cinematography and editing are used to enhance the comedic timing. The shots are meticulously planned to showcase the elaborate setups of each trap, building tension and anticipation before the inevitable payoff. The camera often lingers on the traps as they are carefully placed, building suspense before the hilarious consequences unfold. These setups, paired with tight editing, ensure that the humor hits at just the right moment, with each gag feeling both inevitable and delightfully unexpected. Sound design and music also play a crucial role in shaping the film's experience. John Williams' score for Home Alone 2 is nothing short of iconic. His compositions imbue the movie with a sense of whimsy and grandeur, and his use of orchestral arrangements elevates the emotional impact of key moments. Williams' score is lush and dynamic, shifting from playful and mischievous in scenes of Kevin's clever antics to deeply emotional during the quieter moments of the film. The music swells as Kevin gazes at the Christmas tree in Rockefeller Plaza, highlighting the loneliness he feels despite being surrounded by the magic of the city. In these moments, the score transforms the visual spectacle into a deeper emotional journey, amplifying Kevin's internal conflict. The sound design also plays a crucial role in the film's comedic impact. The sound effects used during the slapstick moments are exaggerated, almost cartoonish, which enhances the humor. The loud, satisfying thuds of falling bricks, the sharp clangs of paint cans, and the wails of Harry and Marv as they fall victim to Kevin's traps are all heightened to an absurd degree. These sounds, though simple, add to the chaotic energy of the film, reinforcing the over-the-top nature of the humor. The exaggerated sound design helps push the comedic boundaries of the film, turning what would be da or painful situations into moments of pure, childlike fantasy. Perhaps one of the most remarkable things about Home Alone 2 is how the technical elements of filmmaking, from the cinematography to the editing, sound design, and music, all work in harmony to support the director's vision. Chris Columbus, building on the success of the first Home Alone film, ensured that the visual storytelling remained just as fresh and engaging in the sequel. Columbus' direction is masterful in balancing the film's playful tone with its emotional moments. The film is full of high-energy chase sequences and elaborate pratfalls, but these moments never overshadow the underlying emotional heart of the story. Columbus knows when to pull back from the chaos and allow the audience to reflect on Kevin's growth as a character, which is what makes Home Alone 2 not just a laugh-out-loud comedy, but also a heartfelt holiday classic. One particularly unique stylistic choice in Home Alone 2 is the way in which the camera often mirrors Kevin's actions. For example, when Kevin first arrives at the Plaza Hotel and walks through its grand lobby, the camera follows him from a low angle, making him appear larger than life. This visual choice gives Kevin a sense of power and control in a world that's typically reserved for adults. The framing also emphasizes Kevin's independence, showcasing how he takes charge of his environment. This sense of empowerment is amplified throughout the movie, from his clever manipulation of the hotel staff to his eventual triumph over Harry and Marv. By positioning Kevin as both the hero and the instigator of chaos, the film places the audience firmly in his perspective, allowing viewers to share in his sense of autonomy and adventure. In contrast, when Kevin interacts with the more adult characters, such as the pigeon lady or the hotel staff, the camera often adopts a more conventional, neutral position, underscoring his feelings of isolation and the stark differences between his world and theirs. These visual cues are a subtle but effective way of highlighting the emotional distance Kevin feels from the adults around him and his longing for a deeper connection. The stylistic choices here reflect the tension between Kevin's desire for independence and his need for human connection, a theme that runs throughout the film. Another stylistic choice that stands out is the film's use of lighting. In both the Plaza Hotel and the outdoor scenes in Central Park, the lighting is warm and inviting, even as the cold, harsh winter surrounds Kevin. The golden hues and soft glows of the hotel's chandeliers evoke a sense of nostalgia and warmth, but also a sense of artificiality. Kevin may be surrounded by luxury, but it's a kind of luxury that doesn't offer him the emotional fulfillment he seeks. The contrast between the bright lighting and the cold, snowy world outside is a visual representation of Kevin's internal struggle. A boy who is surrounded by opulence but longs for the simpler, more genuine comforts of family. Through the combination of careful cinematography, sound design, editing, and music, Home Alone 2 achieves a rare balance of humor and emotion. Each element of the film's visual and auditory storytelling enhances its themes, from Kevin's journey of self-discovery to the emotional core that underpins the film's chaotic, slapstick humor. Director Chris Columbus's vision shines through in every frame, creating a movie that resonates with audiences not only for its memorable moments but also for its ability to seamlessly blend technical artistry with a compelling, heartfelt narrative. The result is a film that is as visually captivating as it is emotionally satisfying, truly a cinematic masterpiece that continues to captivate generations of viewers. The cast chemistry in Home Alone 2, Lost in New York is undeniably one of the key elements that made the film such an enduring holiday classic. The natural rapport between the actors, combined with their individual performances, brings the characters to life in a way that resonates deeply with audiences. At the heart of this chemistry is Macaulay Culkin, who reprises his role as Kevin McAllister, a character whose cleverness and mischief continue to captivate viewers. Culkin's comedic timing and ability to seamlessly blend innocence with cunning made Kevin's journey in New York both heartwarming and hilarious. His interactions with the various characters throughout the film, from the bumbling burglars Harry and Marv to the enigmatic pigeon lady, add layers of depth to his character and keep the audience invested in his story. Culkin's performances are not just about the laughs. There's an emotional core that drives his portrayal of Kevin. Whether he's alone in the Plaza Hotel, setting traps for the wet bandits, or reflecting on his strained relationship with his family, Culkin brings a sincerity to Kevin that allows audiences to connect with him on a deeper level. His chemistry with the other actors enhances the narrative, particularly in the scenes where Kevin is forced to navigate the chaos of New York by himself. Culkin's interactions with the various supporting characters feel organic, elevating the stakes of the story and making Kevin's emotional journey even more poignant. Alongside Culkin, the return of Joe Pesci and Daniel Stern as Harry and Marv solidifies the film's comedic foundation. Their slapstick humor is both iconic and timeless, and the chemistry between them is infectious. The pairing of Pesci and Stern creates a dynamic that's both absurd and endearing. Their bumbling attempts to capture Kevin are as entertaining as they are absurd, and their on-screen partnership brings a layer of warmth to the film, despite their villainous roles. Pesci's deadpan delivery and Stern's exaggerated physical comedy complement each other perfectly, and the result is a performance that is as memorable for its humor as it is for its heart. The presence of new characters, such as the Pigeon Lady, played by Brenda Fricker, also adds to the rich dynamic of the cast. Fricker's portrayal of this misunderstood woman brings depth to the narrative, offering Kevin a reflection of his own loneliness and desire for connection. The scenes between Kevin and the Pigeon Lady are some of the most touching in the film, and Fricker's subtle, heartfelt performance adds an emotional layer that balances out the film's more chaotic moments. The gentle chemistry between Culkin and Fricker enhances the emotional arc of Kevin's character, allowing him to grow and mature over the course of the story. While the performances themselves are crucial to the film's success, The behind-the-scenes dynamics also played a significant role in shaping the final product. Director Chris Columbus's ability to guide the cast through both the comedic and emotional moments of the film helped create a seamless blend of humor and heart. Columbus worked closely with the actors to ensure their performances hit the right balance, and his approach was key to bringing out the best in them. Macaulay Culkin, who was just a child at the time, was given the space to experiment with his character, allowing his natural charm and timing to shine through. Pesci and Stern, both experienced actors, embraced the slapstick comedy, knowing that their performances would be elevated by the film's visual style and editing. The film's production also had its own share of unique behind-the-scenes moments. One of the most memorable aspects of Home Alone 2 is the way the film was shot in the real locations of New York City, which brought an authentic energy to the scenes. The filmmakers took full advantage of the city's iconic landmarks, from Central Park to the Plaza Hotel, creating a sense of scale and wonder that couldn't have been achieved on a soundstage. The hustle and bustle of the city provided the perfect backdrop for Kevin's misadventures, and the cast and crew had to navigate the challenges of shooting in a busy, real-world environment. The decision to film on location also contributed to the chemistry between the actors and the settings, as the cast was able to interact with their surroundings in a way that felt more genuine and spontaneous. Despite the film's success, the behind-the-scenes production wasn't without its challenges. Filming in New York City presented logistical issues, particularly when it came to coordinating the complex action sequences and managing the crowds of onlookers who would often stop to watch the filming. In one particularly memorable scene, where Kevin races through Central Park, the crew had to work quickly to capture the shots while keeping the busy New York traffic and pedestrians at bay. The production team used clever editing techniques to remove distractions and maintain the illusion of a bustling, yet controlled, environment. This fast-paced, energetic atmosphere on set helped create the film's lively tone, and the chemistry between the cast members further fed into this sense of spontaneity and fun. The Plaza Hotel also played a key role in shaping the behind-the-scenes experience. The hotel's grandeur added to the sense of magic and luxury, and the cast had to adapt to the opulent surroundings. For Culkin, this meant navigating through the hotel's vast hallways and opulent rooms, creating moments of wonder that translated into his performance. The hotel staff, who were often incorporated into the scenes, also added to the dynamic of the shoot, with the crew working hard to ensure that every interaction between Kevin and the hotel employees felt authentic, even though the film was carefully staged. Audience reactions to Home Alone 2 were overwhelmingly positive upon its release, and the film quickly became a holiday staple for families around the world. The film's humor, heart, and memorable performances resonated with viewers of all ages, and it wasn't long before it became a beloved classic. Much like the first Home Alone, the sequel tapped into the universal themes of family, independence, and self-discovery, making it a timeless story that continues to engage new generations of viewers. Critically, Home Alone 2 was met with favorable reviews, though it did not receive the same level of universal acclaim as its predecessor. Many critics praised the film's humor, the charm of Culkin's performance, and the heartwarming moments that defined the story. However, some critics noted that the sequel followed a similar formula to the original, and while it delivered more of the same chaotic comedy, it lacked some of the novelty that made the first film stand out. Despite these critiques, the movie's box office success and cultural impact solidified its place as a holiday favorite. The audience's warm reception helped propel the film to greater heights, ensuring its longevity in the years that followed. Long-term fan engagement with Home Alone 2 has only grown since its release. Fans continue to celebrate the film every holiday season, with annual screenings and festive events dedicated to the beloved movie. The film has inspired countless memes, fan theories, and social media discussions, which demonstrate the lasting impact it has had on pop culture. In particular, the character of Kevin McAllister has become an iconic figure in the holiday movie genre, with his clever tricks and mischievous spirit inspiring generations of fans to embrace their inner resourcefulness. The film's cultural influence extends beyond the holiday season. It has become a touchstone for fans of slapstick comedy, a model for films that balance humor with emotional depth, and a quintessential example of how a sequel can successfully build on the foundation of its predecessor. The enduring appeal of Home Alone 2 is a testament to the chemistry of its cast, the behind-the-scenes dedication that shaped the final product, and the way the film continues to resonate with audiences around the world. It's a classic that will remain part of the holiday tradition for years to come. Home Alone 2, Lost in New York stands as a timeless holiday classic, capturing the hearts of audiences with its blend of humor, warmth, and adventure. From the opening moments to its heartwarming conclusion, the film continues to enchant viewers, both old and new, with its perfect mix of comedy, clever storytelling, and unforgettable performances. It remains one of the most iconic films to come out of the 1990s, and its impact on the holiday movie genre cannot be overstated. One of the film's defining elements is its ability to balance light-hearted slapstick humor with emotional depth. The journey of Kevin McAllister, played by Macaulay Culkin, is both entertaining and heartwarming. Kevin's time in New York City, navigating both the excitement and isolation of the bustling metropolis, speaks to the universal desire for independence and self-discovery. Yet, the film never loses sight of the importance of family and Kevin's evolution, from a young boy trying to fend for himself to a compassionate individual who learns the value of connection, adds a layer of richness to the story. The chemistry between the cast members, from Culkin's stellar performance as Kevin to the comedic brilliance of Joe Pesci and Daniel Stern as Harry and Marv, is another major reason the film stands out. Each character, whether a villain or a hero, brings something unique to the table, creating a dynamic that elevates the film. The relationship between Kevin and the pigeon lady, played by Brenda Fricker, further deepens the emotional resonance of the movie, providing a beautiful counterpoint to the chaos of the holiday season. The heartfelt moments between these characters allow the audience to connect with them on a deeper level, offering a sense of catharsis amid the humor and antics. Visually, Home Alone 2 stands out as a cinematic gem, with its vibrant depiction of New York City during the holiday season. The filmmakers made brilliant use of the city's iconic landmarks, Central Park, the Plaza Hotel, and Times Square, to create a sense of wonder and adventure. The city becomes as much a character in the film as Kevin himself, providing both challenges and opportunities for growth. The decision to film on location brought an authenticity to the narrative, adding a layer of realism that further immerses viewers into Kevin's world. The film's technical achievements, from its clever editing to its perfectly timed comedic sequences, help make it a masterclass in visual storytelling. The memorable action scenes, such as Kevin's elaborate traps for the wet bandits, are iconic in their own right, showcasing the filmmaker's ability to blend physical comedy with intricate visual design. The sound design and music also contribute to the overall experience, with John Williams' score adding a sense of magic and excitement, while the clever use of sound in the traps creates moments of suspense and delight. What truly makes Home Alone 2 a standout film, however, is its enduring legacy. It continues to resonate with audiences year after year, becoming a beloved part of holiday traditions across the world. The film's ability to blend humor, heart, and holiday spirit has made it a timeless classic that transcends generations. It's a film that invites us to reflect on the importance of family, the joy of adventure, and the value of empathy, all while offering laughs, excitement, and unforgettable moments. In the years since its release, Home Alone 2 has only grown in cultural significance. It has inspired countless fan theories, holiday traditions, and even debates about the plausibility of Kevin's ingenious traps. It's a film that continues to spark discussions, whether it's revisiting old favorites or uncovering hidden details that make it even more enjoyable with each viewing. The movie has earned its place as an essential part of holiday cinema, one that will undoubtedly be cherished for generations to come. So, as we wrap up this deep dive into Home Alone 2, Lost in New York, I encourage you to keep exploring the magic of cinema. If you loved this breakdown, give the video a thumbs up and subscribe for more deep dives into the world of cinema. Let's keep exploring movies together, uncovering the secrets that make them unforgettable. Until next time, take care, and remember, Christmas is about family, fun, and a little bit of mischief.